Welcome, everybody, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com this Monday, May 6th, 2019. Another successful radio show lurking in front of us on the event horizon. So happy to have you here with us this evening. My name's Ginny Sanders, also known as Ginny Almighty, and I will be joined by Dr. Carolyn Dean in just a brief moment, and we will have 2 hours of rockin', rollin', amazing health, vitality, and well-being information for you this evening, not just limited to what you can do in terms of nutritional building blocks for your body, what you can do for your brain, your mind, your mood, your emotions, and what you can do to just trust and know that the body, as its latent intelligence, will perform and do the things that you need it to do if you treat it with a little TLC. So happy again to have you with us this evening. And for those of listening for the first time, let me just also say you can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. You can get this downloaded into your phone, tablet, or device at your convenience every single week, just in case you miss a compelling moment of what Dr. Dean might happen to say this evening. You can also watch this on YouTube along with our RNA Reset videos. You can join us at drcarolyndeanlive.com, which is our radio show archive website where all the radio shows are posted, as well as being able to interact with Dr. Dean there. And, of course, we've got her for 2 hours calling in this evening through our call-in segment of the show at 602-666-6027. Before we get started, I just want to say that Dr. Dean, being the alchemist that she is, being the prolific doctor that she is, being the amazing naturopath that she is, a naturopath that's not trained by, a school. Dr. Dean has been trained by the very essence of nature itself, the very biological cell that actually makes up the entire body. And she has been trained by her own experience, and she has habituated her own wellness to such a degree that she is alive, vital, vibrant, and able to share this information with you at her ripe young experience of 50 years here in the medical business. So I'm telling you, Dr. Dean's got it going on. What she won't do tonight is give medical advice because that's against the FDA rules and guidelines of what can be done. But what she will do is tell you what she would do if she were doing and were in your shoes, doing what you're doing and in your shoes. Now, the reason I bring up her tremendous experience is because over the course of the 50 years, she's pretty much done everything there is to do. So you can trust and count on the information that she's going to share with you this evening. So once again, here we go now, up and away, off for another wonderful radio program with our very own Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Woo, woo, hoo. Well, thank you, Ginny, once again. Yay came pretty fast. I could hardly reach my mute button, but I am here, and I am enthused, excited, activated, ready and willing to go. We've gotten about 20 mailbag questions from our listeners who get our weekly blog that Ginny sends out every Monday morning, and they shoot out a question to us. Now, I really do have to say that the questions are getting kind of more medical, more demanding, more complex. Sicker people are emailing and calling in, and it's like people forget that they got where they've gotten by not taking responsibility for their own health. They've gotten where they've gotten because they keep asking other people to tell them what to do. And although I may be able to tell you better than most people what can help you, I am not going to be your doctor. I'm not going to hold your hand in the way that doctors do and pat you on the head and say, take these supplements and call me in the morning. Ginny and I and our customer service team are educating you, getting you to realize what's important for your health. We say it every week. Ginny says it in her intro that your natural body is healthy enough to take care of itself if you give it the building blocks, if you honor it, if you understand the layers of disease, the priority of the body, the need for the body to want to take care of itself. How many times have we heard from our customers that this and that happened, we went to the ER, we went to the doctor, and we ended up with a prescription? Well, who says you have to take that prescription? A blood pressure under an emergency situation when you're under stress is going to be elevated. Isn't that a place where you say to the doctor, well, can we wait and do the blood pressure a few more times before we go on a lifelong prescription? Because that's what happens when you take a blood pressure medication. You start depleting your magnesium, and you make your blood pressure and your stress and your muscle spasms and your heart palpitations worse because you're lowering your magnesium. So it's very, very important that you take responsibility for your own health. We give you the tools to do that. I know people will say, well, I don't have time to read all that stuff. Well, we really require you to read some of the stuff and make a commitment to yourself to take care of yourself, take responsibility for your health. Because otherwise, people just keep coming back, well, I took a quarter teaspoon of Remag and it didn't fix me because you never read the instructions. You never understood that the label we have to use on our Remag says a maintenance dose is 1 teaspoon. But are any of us under maintenance conditions? No, we're stressed out, so we probably need a little more. So let's get focused and let's look at our health as being the most important thing that we have going for us. And it is important that we do take the responsibility for our health. Let me see if I can find this testimonial from an athlete, just to give some of the audience a glimmer of what I would like, where I'd like people to be at, not with chronic disease, but staying healthy and getting healthier. This is from Fred. He says, I consumed your Restructure protein powder on a 100-mile bike ride a couple of days ago, and my body had great results. I did what you mentioned. I added Restructure to my 23-ounce water bottles that we laced with Remag and Remite. I rode 101 miles in almost 8 hours. Not a fast ride, but a casual one with my wife. I consumed 6 23-ounce water bottles of Restructure Remag Remite within that time period. My body did not reject this concoction at all. I had no abnormal bathroom issues, thank God. As a matter of fact, my body craved the Restructure throughout my ride. This is a very important thing, especially when my body is in need of nourishment and fuel. God, along with your products, are the key to my success as an athlete and my overall health. My wife was not able to consume Restructure because she's lactose intolerant. Her muscles throughout the day were aching, especially the next day. I will be using my Restructure smoothie for all my cycle endeavors, especially for the 24-hour cycling event coming up this June, which is a 145-mile race in August. So that's in the heat of August. Thank you again, Dr. Carolyn Dean, and your wonderful staff. Now, what I answered back was Restructure has only about 1/10 of 1 teaspoon per serving. That's 0.625 milligrams of lactose. So I asked if his wife had tried the Restructure powder or if she was just shying away because it's a whey protein. So I put that out there. And I put that testimonial out there for the, hopefully majority of our customers who are trying to stay healthy and get healthier. And I want to stop right there because Ginny, I never know the blog Ginny's going to write. She never knows the intro I'm going to give. So, Ginny, do you have any input about what I'm saying here about, once again, our customers taking responsibility for their health?
I know it's so important because no healing is going to happen unless a person really does get in there and do that. And I think one of the things, too, that people are struggling with is the chronic disease, the long-standing, disease where they don't seem to improve. And I know that a lot of people who do use our formulas, if they follow it in the fashion that you recommend and stay with it consistently, will improve, especially if they commit to a course of 3 to 6 months of action. And what a lot of people are not willing to hear is the duration of that consistent action that's required in order to reverse a pathological, predatory kind of situation like a chronic illness. And I noticed we did get a lot of emails. The topic of our blog is subinfectious disease, and a lot of people do suffer with that low-level kind of crud running through their body. And, so it's probably a combination of factors. But definitely they have to commit to and enduring a long-term course of action. Wouldn't you say, Carolyn?
Oh, absolutely. And it isn't even that you have to wait 3 to 6 months to see any results. People start seeing results right away. Some people might get stirred up right away and then kind of freak out a bit that, I'm getting worse. But actually, most people, we can reassure them that they're just waking up. Their nerves are waking up. Their muscles are waking up. So, yeah, that's why we have so many of our people on customer service, so we can support people in the first couple of months. But for the most part, people, as Ginny is saying, they don't feel the difference because they're not taking enough of the product and they're not taking it long enough. And that comes across all the time. Some of the mailbags that I'll go through, that definitely comes across. And yes, Ginny's blog this morning is Subclinical Infectious Illness, Restoring the Balance. And you can follow it at drcarolyndeanlive.com. And she says your body's made up of an ecosystem similar to the Earth's biological system of well-being and balance. And I immediately said when I read it, because I didn't know Ginny was putting this out, that the ecosystem is in homeostasis. Ginny does mention homeostasis later. Homeostasis is the tendency toward a relatively stable equilibrium between interdependent elements, especially as maintained by physiological processes. And what my experience in medicine and in the hospitals, I've said many times, with something as simple as electrolyte balance or electrolyte homeostasis, we screwed up all the time. We would take the blood electrolytes without taking the magnesium level, which probably threw everything off anyway, and someone would be high in sodium and low in calcium, and potassium would have been off balance as well. So then we'd load them up with the things they were low on and withhold the things they were high on, and the next day it would be the opposite. We never really got to the common sense point of just saying, well, let's just give a little bit of everything every day, and the body will sort it out. We had no appreciation that the body would sort it out. And so what I'm doing with the Remag and Remite is giving you a consistent amount of minerals every day, and the body will sort it out. And we talk about in Ginny's blog, your system gets out of whack through stress, poor diet, environmental toxins, nutritional mineral deficiencies, and then you become susceptible to a host of bad bacteria and yeast overgrowth leading to imbalance, sickness, or disease. But seriously, the biggest disruptor is medical intervention with drugs. The most recent Medscape article came through this morning, they want to do universal lipid screening for statins for children. And when you read the words, they want to stop disease before it starts, and epidemiological studies, blah, 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 have identified many risk factors for coronary artery disease, including elevated low-density lipoprotein cholesterol, smoking, and sedentary lifestyle. One of the most powerful ways to prevent coronary artery and cerebrovascular disease is to modify low-density lipoprotein cholesterol levels by treating at-risk patients with statins. Now, this is just, it's crap. It has been disproven over and over and over again. People who take statins, they do not live longer. Maybe it does, ram down their cholesterol a little bit because they're killing an enzyme that makes cholesterol, but it doesn't really sort out anything. It doesn't make you live longer. And if you read the book, The Great Cholesterol Con, by a medical doctor, he proves over and over again that this is folly, Folly. So now, because statins are held in more and more disregard, you read medical papers saying that the media has taken the wind out of the sails of statins, and the media makes people think statins are bad. No, statins have side effects. In at least 10% of the people that take them, they have muscle pain. Their magnesium deficiency is worsened. They get all these pains and cramps. So the biggest disruptor in our bodies is medical intervention with drugs. Throws off our homeostasis. And Ginny goes on, taking action to restore this imbalance, et cetera. People are getting disease care, not health care. And what I figured out long ago is this subclinical infectious business is related to yeast overgrowth, to the use of antibiotics, and not giving people probiotic advice. In Europe, they tell people to take plain yogurt when they take an antibiotic. That can be helpful if the yogurt has good bacteria. And from my experience with the AIDS and chronic fatigue study that I did in New York, we did blood tests on everybody and found layers and layers of infectious antibodies, and people didn't express, except the HIV patients, any of their infections. They were just layers and layers of them. Everybody with AIDS had yeast overgrowth. I'd known about yeast overgrowth since the early 80s, but this was the early 90s. We were looking at HIV, and it became obvious that when a person's immune system was under attack, their yeast would just grow rampantly. Now, what we're doing of late about subclinical infections is recommending, beside our Total Body Reset Bundle, the addition of Pico Silver. With that, it's like hitting the jackpot of health and homeostasis. I've been rereading the Silver Report lately. Almost every day I'll just skim through this Silver Report that you can find at drcarolyndeanlive.com under books. It's at the top. And I'm just blown away by what it says. Everything in the report applies to Pico Silver. It's got silver has the highest electrical conductivity of any mineral, so it's an important messenger throughout the body. It attaches to white blood cells and helps them become seek and destroy missiles. It actually helps stem cell production. It regenerates tissue. I mean, who needs stem cell transplants when you can support your own stem cell production? And we know that. We can't really prove it yet until we do the research on our RNA reset drops, but we know that they're making perfect cells as well. So the whole bundle with the Pico Silver is going to work on your yeast overgrowth. The bundle with the minerals is going to support all the mineral deficiencies that we've developed over the years. The Realign has your Bs, your methylated Bs, which are crucial. And what I've noticed lately, actually, someone wrote in about this whole methylation business, and I titled this little vignette, Methylation Madness. And what our customers said is, I've stopped eating the foods that are high in folate according to a certain doctor's list. It's a pretty long one, as it represented the foods I was eating every day. Do these foods contain the quadrifolic feature that's in our Realign? In other words, is it safe for someone who's undermethylated to take this or any form of folate? So we sent the information about the Realign, but I got into the mix and I said, I don't understand what you've been told. Wouldn't it be the case that an undermethylator would require folate foods and methylfolate supplements, not the opposite? Please help me figure this out. And all this person did is say, Google this doctor and see what he says. And, of course, I didn't have time to do all that. And I said, I left out one of the sentences, but I started with how these specialists do not take into account what happens in the body when they're magnesium deficient. When you're magnesium deficient, these gene expressions can be modified in such a way that people are now saying you have a gene abnormality or something wrong with your MTHFR. Sorry, I'm trying to find the email where this came through, so I have the exact words. No. Even when you look at methylation as a chemical process, the MTHFR people say that you need extra nutrients such as magnesium to keep the methylation cycle running smoothly. And deficiencies of nutrients such as magnesium can contribute to poor methylation. So I told her the smartest thing to do, saturate yourself with Remag to support methylation, and the gene variation might not even express itself. So you see my point here. What we've got is internet doctors who jump on, find a problem, and then start saying, well, you can't eat this, you can't eat that, and not looking at the basis of the structure and function of the body in order to let the body do its own work. So what the Remag is going to do for people is, as I've said many times, it's going to help it out with 1,000 different enzyme processes. It's going to help 80% of the metabolic functions in the body work properly, which is what magnesium does. And if you're assessing someone with MTHFR gene variation, then you have to make sure that you supplement yourself with enough magnesium so that the gene doesn't express itself in a way that you don't like. This business about stopping all folate foods, I mean, that's every green vegetable there is. How can that be helpful? But anyway, I'm just rambling on, but it is...
Here, let me put a point to it.
Yay!
The medium is the message is a sociological law. Because we have new technologies, and we've seen in history when new technologies come in, people somnambulistically adopt thinking that the new technology creates. So you've got these doctors saying crazy things compared to 30 years ago because they're in a new technological, genetic technology environment. So they're going to think crazy and in harmony with the effects of the technology. That's the reason why everything is screwed up right now. But the issue is, that's for the mind to know the reason why. But we have the solution. That's the great thing. We got a solution. So, and some people require to know why. This is the why. The medium is the message. It makes people think differently when they use new technology. I mean, Carolyn's getting tested on these drugs, and she finds it a big problem to even understand the rationality to why these new drugs are being used. Mm-hmm. That's because you're not thinking, you're not going under the effects of the new technology. You have a way to bypass that. So you're not being changed to think in a way you think would be natural to the new technological effects. You're immune to that.
Right.
So the world's going to look crazier and crazier to you, Carolyn.
Oh, it does. It's very frustrating. But thank you, Bob, for that interlude. It gave me a chance to find the sentence that I wrote to this customer. I said to her, methylation does not occur in a world of its own. I don't like genetic testing that makes people think they have genetic problems, and I don't trust so-called specialists who don't consider the whole picture. The whole picture begins with magnesium. And I don't think it's a good idea to limit someone's diet on speculation about a methylation problem. So I think that's the gist of most of what we talk about here. Use this, the basic building blocks for the structure and function of your body so that you don't run into these so-called experts and specialists who think they can tell you what to do with your body. And yes, it may sound like a truth, but it's really just a quarter truth. And you get sucked up into letting someone else define your body. I'm going to stop and see if Ginny has anything to add.
Nope, I think that sounds excellent. Very good.
Right. I know. I'm really on a rant roll today, and I don't know how we're going to get through all these mailbags, Ginny. I guess I'll just try to ram through them. Otherwise, I'm up for the next 24 hours trying to answer them by email. Someone asked about a 19-year-old daughter with rashes and suffering anxiety and depression, put on a lot of medications. She had chicken pox 2 times, shingles, serum sickness, strep throats 5 times, on and on and on. Basically, this poor young woman has yeast overgrowth, and that's what what I would advise is our yeast detox and Pico Silver every day. I'm going to change the yeast protocol to include Pico Silver every day because I think that's the underlying, as Ginny's talking about the subclinical infections, that will help the immune system with all these layers of infections. So read the yeast, Reset the Yeast Connection book, and put your daughter on the yeast detox protocol. Someone asks, can you put Remag or Remite into a retention enema? I guess you could. I don't know why you'd want to. I put probiotics in a retention enema, and I'm starting to put a teaspoon of Pico Silver in as well, just to try that out. If you're putting Remag and Remite into retention enema for muscle spasms or whatever, okay, but Remag and Remite are so well absorbed, they don't have to be given in a retention enema. My daughter keeps fainting for no apparent reason when she stands up from sitting. Lots of blood tests, had an iron injection, et cetera, et cetera. Iron injections are very painful. 15 years old, plays sports, goes to gym. So she's probably magnesium deficient from sweating. And here's the answer. Magnesium deficiency can cause an underactive autonomic nervous system leading to low blood pressure and poor circulatory system performance. Some people think magnesium will lower their blood pressure further, but slowly increasing magnesium, REMAG, will treat the problem and improve the blood pressure and the fainting and the dizziness. I'd also use the REMIDE. Even sea salt and water for these young athletes can turn them around. So do that. There's also postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, POTS. There's also neurocardiogenic syncope, temporary loss of consciousness associated with a drop in arterial blood pressure. These are autonomic problems. I'm sure due to magnesium deficiency, what you are going to see is more and more words to describe magnesium deficiency. POTS, neurocardiogenic syncope. We've had a lot of people talking about vertigo and dizziness, and they just throw out all these names for things they don't understand, and it's probably due to magnesium deficiency. Someone here saying, been on REMAG for 4 months, gotten up to a teaspoon, started noticing diuretic effects when I take 1 teaspoon and a quarter. Does that mean I've reached saturation? I don't know if she means diarrhea effects. But we have an FAQ for people who do get the laxative effect with REMAG. Now, she says, on the show, Dr. Dean had suggested taking 2 to 3 teaspoons for a while for those who need to address long-term deficiency. That's true. She says, I just got through having my first child, breastfeeding, still at 1.5 years old, got divorced, thought I would need more REMAG. Also diagnosed with mitral valve prolapse. Yes, that's a magnesium deficiency. Chest pains came back when I started REMAG, but have gone away now. I'm about 150 pounds, just wondering if I'm doing things right. Okay, so what's going on here? Oh, and she says, I've really noticed a reduction in my anxiety levels and more clarity in my life since taking REMAG. She needs REMIDE. Anybody who's had a child, any woman who's had a child, will need the REMIDE for those minerals that support the adrenals and the thyroid. The thyroid is very much taxed with pregnancy. So, and sea salt and water is going to be helpful. So take REMIDE, REMAG lotion as well if you're having laxative effect with REMAG liquid. Someone says, is magnesium appropriate for someone with Lyme disease and its associated co-infections? Your products have changed my health significantly. Can't thank you enough. So this woman is asking about Lyme. Now, some of the half-truths about Lyme are that, the Lyme spirochete uses magnesium, so we shouldn't take magnesium, which is crazy talk because 80% of your known metabolic functions require magnesium. So what are you going to do? Starve your body to starve Lyme when what Lyme can be, treated with is a yeast detox protocol with pico silver. And also in the yeast protocol, I talk about parasite and using diatomaceous earth. So there are things to be done for Lyme. I know it does come across as a very serious disease, but it's almost like what we hear people saying, like our friend Ion, that you'll, quote, cure all these diseases and people will come up with more problems. So you got to get your body right, homeostasis, support your structure and function. Don't allow these infections to gain hold. And I know it's, easy for me to say those words. I'm not living in Lyme tick areas, but, heaven forbid, not everybody who gets bit with a tick gets bit with a tick who's infected with the Lyme organism. So anyway, support the structure and function of your body. Take enough REMAG to support the structure and function of your body. Treat yeast and use pico silver. Someone says, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, Graves, and rheumatoid arthritis and more. What can I do? Well, that we would give that person our Total Body Reset FAQ and encourage them to take the bundle to support the thyroid, rheumatoid arthritis, that's inflammatory, requiring your REMAG, and there's an aspect of calcification in rheumatoid as well, where a person that's may be more calcified, which means just taking more magnesium. But in the beginning, reading some of our booklets, listening to the radio show archives, we've said a lot about Hashimoto's and rheumatoid arthritis. Someone is saying, I have Pico Silver. Will it take care of a kidney infection? Lots of pain, blood in the urine, less today than yesterday. Taking Pico Silver 4 doses so far. Apple cider vinegar, blueberry caps, cranberry caps. I know you can't diagnose, but if it was you, what would you do? Antibiotics always wipe me out, and I get all kinds of sicknesses for months. Yeah, that's the problem with people who get infections, is they take antibiotics and then get yeast overgrowth. Well, my Pico Silver story is not about a kidney infection. I mean, kidney infections, I don't know if this person means bladder infections or kidney. Kidney infections are nothing to ignore. I would be going to a doctor to get a urine test and be followed, but also taking the Pico Silver. So 4 doses so far. I don't think you have to worry about overdosing Pico Silver. I took 6 teaspoons on the day I came home with a airplane cold, and by the next day I was fine. But I continued to take several doses a day for several days, and I do still continue to take Pico Silver 1 to 2 teaspoons every day. As I said, I keep rereading the Silver Report, and I'm blown away by what it can do to support so many things in the body. So you must read that. It's at drcarolyndeanlive.com under books. Question, I'd love to have my kids start using magnesium supplements. Should all kids, neurotypical, that means, quote, normal kids, special need kids, overall healthy kids, autoimmune challenged kids, take magnesium? I think, yes, of course, everybody should take it. It's not in our food supply anymore. 80% of our known metabolic functions require magnesium. Yes, we assume they're all deficient. What age do deficiencies typically start? They can start at birth if the mom did not have sufficient magnesium. So one of her 6-year-old twins had a few episodes of wheezing, treated with albuterol, not diagnosed as asthma yet. So right away they're on the drugs. Still trying to identify the trigger. There doesn't have to be a trigger. It can be magnesium deficiency, wheezing, and has recently had first antibiotics to treat strep. So that's where a yeast protocol would be helpful. Get rid of the sugar and gluten and dairy products for a month or so. Take the complement formulas. The children's doses are on the labels. The other twin, a few more episodes of wheezing, treated with albuterol. 9-year-old, no wheezing ever. Took antibiotics twice to treat ear infection and strep. Which magnesium supplements to take? Well, we only have the one, the REMAG. The REMITE is a multiple mineral. The Realign is a B vitamin and amino acids. With the Realign, it's hard for kids to take that because it's very strong. It has sulfur-based amino acids. You can look at. I'm not going to give you dosage. I'm sorry, I can't do that over the radio. But just look on the label for the children's doses. And the Realign, I just tell parents to open up a capsule and sprinkle a little, within the food so it dulls the taste. Half a capsule for children 4 years and older. Okay, so that's the children. Now, this is a long one, but I'll try to whip through it. Struggling for 6 years with fatigue, weakness, vertigo. Blood shows high CRP, C-reactive protein. That's for inflammation. Mild anemia. I guess it's a he says. It's probably related to anemia of chronic inflammation. See, what happens is when you have low-grade infections, the body will hide your iron away so that the iron won't be used by the infection. So you can, if you let the infection go on, then you can get an anemia. It's very interesting. So seeing every specialist, when my problems began, I had terrible muscle cramps and irregular heartbeat, so that's magnesium deficiency. I've managed to somewhat control these with magnesium, both oral and transdermal. I found out that this person is not on Remag, so he goes on to say that had a 24-hour urine magnesium test, my body's dumping it, but he doesn't have nephritis, etc. And he's used everything he can find, adrenal cocktails, etc., takes broad-spectrum supplements, etc., etc. What are the doctors missing about magnesium wasting? Well, what's missing is actually the completement formulas. What we know is that the Remag is going to stay on in the cells, stay on board longer. Taking the Remite will start, along with the Remag, those minerals will start healing the kidney, and the Realign similarly. Certainly the RNA reset drops are going to help make perfect cells. We have people who've had problems, kidney disease, etc., who've done this and turned themselves around. And, of course, he says none of the doctors listen to his history. They'll comment that magnesium is a toxin, or you're way over your head. You can't absorb magnesium through the skin. You don't have a magnesium problem. And he paid for an RBC magnesium test, showed it to be very low. But, of course, serum magnesium is fine, which is all the doctors will consider. Naturopaths overdosed him with vitamin D, and someone prescribed antidepressants and prednisone, both of which were a terrible idea. I could go on for pages, et cetera, et cetera. So there's probably a yeast overgrowth problem here as well that is blocking the receptors sites and escalating the loss of magnesium. So really, just taking any magnesium is not going to help. I mean, it's obvious this gentleman has magnesium deficiencies. He is wasting magnesium, so his kidneys need to be healed. All I can say is use the Total Body Reset Bundle and the Pico Silver in the yeast detoxification protocol that we have in our yeast book. Someone is asking what approach is appropriate for prostate problems. Well, it's a yeast detox. Read the yeast book under men, the chapter for men. I talk about prostatitis is yeast overgrowth until proven otherwise, or unless proven otherwise. And he says on another issue, struggling with cardiac issues when eating out-of-season fruits, maybe too acidic. And I don't know about that. I don't know if it's maybe just too much fructose. He says sympathetic nervous system goes into overdrive. No, I don't know what that means about out-of-season fruits, but the body's trying to tell him not to eat them at this point. Presently using Remag, Remite, Realign, and the lotion, hopefully at saturation levels, in 2 to 3 teaspoons Remag, 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of Remite, 2 Realign. And I would look at definitely taking the RNA reset drops, because when you have a situation where nobody can diagnose it, nobody can figure it out, then you do want to go to our mystery product, the RNA reset drops. Someone says, my wife ended up in the hospital Palm Sunday, dizzy spells, high blood pressure. Doctor said she had vertigo, which is dizziness, sent her home with medication, told her she has high blood pressure, put her on blood pressure medicine. How do you check for low magnesium? Well, you start out by reading the REMAG book. Don't just dive in and say, well, I'll put my wife on REMAG. Really educate yourself about the situation. Get the free REMAG book. It's called Invisible Minerals Part 1 at drcarolyndeanlive.com. Dizziness, it can be a virus in the inner ear. It can be calcification in the hair cells of the inner ear. That can be stirred up by a virus or by dehydration, or I don't know if over the Easter weekend there was a lot of sugar eaten, et cetera, et cetera. But read the REMAG book first. Checking for low magnesium, you can read that in the book because that's a bit fraught with problems itself. So just educate yourself about the fact that there isn't a good test for magnesium, and you do have to be off magnesium for at least 12 hours before you take the test. Someone's asking me for suggestions for someone with stage 4 breast cancer metastases. Well, I'll make a note of this, and we'll send that person our cancer FAQ. We do not give advice on about cancer. We're not treating cancer. So I have to make that clear because we get a lot of questions about that because cancer is so common. So I'm sorry about that. Can you have subclinical infectious disease without inflammatory markers? Yes, of course you can. I would say most people have some clinical infections, really. I mean, I burnt my lips when I was young, so I get fever blisters or herpes 1, cold sores on my lips, or I used to before I went on all my formulas, and now especially Pico Silver. So that's my subclinical viral infection that will come out if I get a lot of sun on my face, or as I did in the New York lab, my autoclave blows up in my face. Someone asks, last question, you'll be happy to learn, does Realign contain live yeast? It does not. What it is Saccharomyces boulardii yeast are grown in a medium of B vitamins. Then the yeast cells are disrupted. The walls are tossed, and what's left is B vitamins in what we call a food-based organic state. So that's that. And Ginny, I have finished, good grief, just in time for the top of the hour.
Yes, absolutely. Very good. Very good. Okay, let's just remind our callers that 602-666-6027 is the number to call if you'd like to chitty-chat with Dr. Dean this evening, and we will take calls in that next hour. I don't think we have enough time to put anybody on the phone right now. One of the questions that Mary was asking Carolyn, and I'll just put it out here before the top of the hour. You talked a little bit about blood pressure, but this one was how to bring down hypertension. My results are 77/124. How can I prevent it from going higher? I've also heard of a Holter method to map out blood pressure through the night. Do you know what this is about?
Well, 77/124 is not a blood pressure reading. It's upside down. If you're talking about 124/77, that's a perfectly normal blood pressure. So I don't know who's got you worried about that. You can, from usually an internist or cardiologist, get a 24 or even week-long Holter monitor that will monitor if your blood pressure is elevated, 24 hours a day. But 124/77 is perfect. You'd have to ask, be more specific.
Very good. Very good. Okay, so the low number, I think I've heard you say before that the low number reading at the bottom can be up as high as 90 and still be in normal range. Is that what you said previously?
Well, yeah, you can be 140/90 used to be the lower limit of high blood pressure. But I don't know if you remember, last year everybody got together who wanted to give people more drugs and said 130/80 is the lower limit of high blood pressure. So if Mary's blood pressure, if the bottom one was 80 and the top one was 130 at any time, she would probably be told, oh, you better watch your blood pressure, which scares a person. And every time their blood pressure is taken, it can shoot up just out of stress. But if you are saturated with your Remag, then the muscles of your blood vessels will stay relaxed and won't tighten up under white coat stress.
Okay, very good. And also, just to read this into the record again, Carolyn, Mary's also asking about infrared sauna. Is infrared sauna at a cardiovascular setting safe to use twice a week and use it as a replacement to exercise?
Oh, I wouldn't use it as a replacement to exercise. It's a whole different world. I mean, what infrared saunas or saunas in general do is give a heat shock to your body. I don't know if you want to be shocked. I don't know if you want to sweat out your minerals. What it does, apparently, it in this research, it changes certain blood parameters and makes it look like, oh my gosh, you've got more human growth hormone. Oh, look, this level is better. But it's out of shock. It's the same with cold shock therapy, where the body says, I am freaking out here and I better do something. And in the freaking out, are you affecting your adrenal glands? What are you doing to your minerals? And so for our audience, which are mostly people over 60, I don't advise you go and shock your body, especially if you're trying to replace heat shock with a nice walk and exercise and helping your circulation. So there.
Right.
Sorry, Mary.
Right, absolutely. Okay, very good. And then final question till the top of the hour. Gary typing in, can you put Pico Silver on a hemorrhoid? Will it help? And also, what about Remag lotion?
Yeah, that'd be interesting to do Pico Silver. Look at my Future Health Now encyclopedia under hemorrhoids. I use a potato, a little snippet of potato for the starch to shrink the hemorrhoid. You can also get, what is it? There's a probe that you can put in your freezer and then insert it into your anus to freeze a hemorrhoid. Yeah, I would use a potato soaked in Pico Silver. I'd use that in a minute.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. Well, it's very healing to the tissues of the skin. I mean, so many people have written in about that.
Right. Yeah, we only have 30 seconds. Let me say this. I'm using it now. Had a few drops of Pico Silver on clay and using that as a poultice. And it's awesome for drawing. The clay draws, but the Pico Silver is going to cut any bacterial infections that may be involved in a boil or a wound. It's awesome.
Very good. Okay, great question, Gary. All right, top of the hour, 2 minutes for Dr. Dean to have wet her whistle with her Remag water, and we'll be right back, everybody. Hour 2 coming up.
We'll be back with Hour 2 of Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, along with host Ginny Gunther, after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
AchieveRadio.com.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. Here we go now. Here we go now. The wellness scene with Dr. D. Here we go now. Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. The wellness scene with Dr. D.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in this evening, for chatting in, typing in, and doing all kinds of fun stuff. And now we're getting to the calling-in portion of our program. So we will be taking phone calls this hour at 602-666-6027. If you want to talk with Dr. Dean and pick her brain and her experience about what might work for you, you can feel free to call that number. We'll start taking those calls in a minute. I want to say, Carolyn, that we've got a couple questions still, one on the InQuick, and then also Ion typed in quite a bit, Carolyn, about the C. auris from the CDC with C. auris. Do you want me to read that too?
No, we've talked about the latest candida that's out there, and I don't want to scare people about it. I don't know why Ion is putting it on. It's just another indication that as we clean up one thing, something else will come along. And with 6-7 billion people on the planet, they're talking about 100 cases of fatalities with C. auris. So unfortunately, the media blows it all out of proportion. So we just tell people to stay healthy and stay out of hospital.
Very good. Excellent. Yeah, stay out of the hospital. That's your best bet right there for sure. Okay, question coming in from Sherry in Georgia. I'm reading your book. I've been on blood pressure medications for years, one of which is a diuretic. How can I get off that without getting swollen feet? What do I replace the diuretic with?
Well, I mean, that's our whole premise, Sherry, is you take your minerals, starting with your sea salt, and then you take your Remag and your Remite, and the minerals are absorbed directly into the cells, and minerals will pull water in after them and put the water where it belongs in the cells for cellular metabolism. So it comes out of your feed and goes into your cells properly. And in this whole business about taking a diuretic because you have a magnesium deficiency is very frustrating. So read the Remag book. You can Google my blogs just by going on to Google and put in diuretic or edema and my name and see what I've written about it many times.
Very good. Excellent. Okay. Here's a great question from Randall, and I know that this is a point of confusion with a lot of people when they start to use our products. I think I've heard you say we should receive 700 milligrams of magnesium per day. You assume food supplies 200 milligrams a day. So it seems that we would need the supplement that offers 500 milligrams a day. But the dose of Remag only offers 150 milligrams for a half teaspoon. Does that mean we need 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of Remag per day, which is much more than you recommend on your website regarding Remag? Am I reasoning this erroneously? This is another product. Is there another product that is picometer in size in a capsule? Would it be 100% absorbed?
As I've said many times, Randall, and I'm sure you've heard me, on our label and on our website, we have to follow FDA requirements. That doesn't want supplements to be above the RDA. So that's why we put the half teaspoon, 150 milligrams, take 2 half teaspoons a day. That's it. It's talking about the RDA, and we call it maintenance. We had to take off words that we put earlier, saying for therapeutic levels, take 2 to 3 teaspoons. Boom, that came off. So, yeah, we're not able to tell you what to do. Sorry. And in terms of an RDA, yes, it would be good to be getting 600-700 milligrams. If someone has severe magnesium deficiency, has stress, drugs, is not eating any vegetables, they'll need more than even 2 teaspoons a day. So it's a moving target, Randall. I mean, you know that. You work with your clients and patients, so you understand how different people require different amounts of magnesium. We have no idea what anybody needs because we're not offered the ionized magnesium testing, and some of our research is going to start sorting out those problems. Nobody is doing supplemental research. None of the supplement companies will put the money into research, but as soon as we had a little bit, we're doing our research, and we'll be offering that information to you. The preliminary study, one of them is going to come out in August or September, so we're doing our homework for you.
Yep, absolutely. Wonderful. And just to follow up, there is another product, the pico particle size in a capsule. Would it be 100% absorbed? No. And the word pico is now, everybody's hot on Dr. Dean's trail, so they're going to pick up that word and use it in as much as they're able. And we're, beating them down with a broom. But your best bet is Remag. It's just so simple and beautiful and elegant. And it's so easy to use. And what I love about Remag more than anything is you cannot use a pill or a powder on your skin. And that right there should be a big red flag. If you can't use it on your skin, why would you want to put it in your mouth and expect that it's going to be absorbed? So Remag is 100% absorbed and bioavailable and completely available at a cellular level, not just through an oral transmission, but also through a topical application. And that's not just our lotion, that's also the liquid itself. You can put it in a spray bottle and transfer it onto your skin, and it will do wonders. I mean, just wonders. So, I mean, why? You can't even improve on it. It's the Lamborghini of magnesium, people. It's absolutely true.
Right, and the other aspect is nobody else has this technology.
Yeah.
It being a stabilized ion, you ask any chemistry or physics professor, they'd say, oh, that's impossible. Well, we have determined the impossible. We have studies with laser diffusion refraction. I'll bring it up and read it to you. That shows that when you shine or direct a laser onto a bottle of Remag, nothing shows up, people. A Vega characterization lab received a liquid sample containing magnesium chloride. Particle size analysis of this sample was requested. Particle size analysis was conducted using a Horiba LA-950 laser scattering particle size analyzer. This instrument uses a combination of Fraunhofer and Maya light scattering theory to analyze the size distribution of solid and liquid particles. The size distribution is presented as a histogram with discrete size bins ranging from 0.03 microns to 3,000 microns. Results: no particles were detected. So this magnesium is in its ionic form and size, which means that we call it a picometer size. And yes, Ginny's right. There's several companies now that are stealing our words that I coined. Everyone was all about nano, and I know nano technology has a negative name, so I said, okay, it's pico, and it is ionic, and we do have trademarks on Pico Ionic, so we're going to be litigating these people. You cannot be in business these days without having to fight for your life. And it is unfortunate that yeah, Ginny, you didn't realize this. I'm on it. I am not going to roll over these crazy people who think they can just destroy the reputation of our products by giving this inferior product that will not be a stabilized ion. It just won't, because there is nobody who has this technology. Okay, so be clear, people, when you look for, well, just look for Remag anyway, and stop with this, oh, can I find something cheaper? Yeah, you can find something cheaper that will give you the laxative effect. I want a pill so I don't have to taste this yucky taste. Drop the Remag liquid in an empty capsule and swallow the capsule. Boom. How hard is that? So, or dilute the heck out of it. I'm taking half a teaspoon 3 times a day now, and I don't even taste it in an 8-ounce glass of water. So, our lives have been just way too sugar-coated, folks. Get over it.
Well,
okay.
That's very true, too. That's very true. I mean, that is very true. Okay, so, Randall, that was a very good question, and it provoked a lot of good conversation and presentation of information, and hopefully you'll be able to embrace it and use it to your advantage. Okay, now let's take a few phone calls, Carolyn, and then we'll come back to our chitty-chatty line in just a minute. How does that sound?
Good.
Okay, excellent. Let's go to area code 248, the great state of Michigan. Area code 248, you're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Yes, my name is Denise. It's a real quick comment. I want to start the keto diet because I have a whole lot to lose. But, you know, I'm in AFib 24/7, and I believe it's because of low magnesium and potassium. My thing is, in order to start that diet, they said that there's a lot of, you'll lose magnesium. So should I have all your products. I got the bundle. I'm taking them now as we speak. Should I take it for a week or so before I start the keto, or a month?
Yeah, for sure, Denise. Yeah, you gotta, build yourself up. And as some of our customers say, if they run into extra episode with their palpitations, they'll just take an extra half teaspoon or a teaspoon. Because when you're in the middle of a low magnesium episode, you can use a Remag as an emergency treatment, actually. But I mean, you've been on the phone a couple of times.
Right.
You've started the Remag already, haven't you?
Yeah, I just started this week. I mean, actually last week. That's when I started.
And have you noticed any difference yet? I know you're going up slowly, but have you noticed?
Yes, I do. I have noticed that when I talked to the person on the phone, your customer service, they told me to do Remag for a week and then add in Remite.
Right.
And then, so I'm doing all of that. I start Remite tomorrow, so that would be my week. So I'll just, start that tomorrow and do it that way. But I wanted to do the keto, and I thought, oh, gosh, I can't do the keto yet until I, want to make sure it's okay, after everyone is telling me about the magnesium issue. So I just said, well, maybe I'll just do this and then do the keto.
Right. And have you read my Reset Your Ideal Weight book yet?
No, I haven't gotten to that yet. I was still trying to figure out but how to make sure I'm taking your your magnesium and everything the correct way. So I've been spending more time trying to do that and read The Miracle of Magnesium.
So right.
Just starting off. I'm just
slow. Yeah. I mean, the thing about low magnesium and potassium on the keto diet is mainly because you're not eating all the vegetables that you used to. But the fact of the matter is the vegetables are really low in magnesium anyway. So, and the Remag is the best form of magnesium to take. So you'll be fine. Okay?
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay, hon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Excellent. Okay, off to the great state of Florida, area code 352. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Oh, this is Rhea in Florida, and I spoke with Ginny during the week, and I was supposed to call back in and give a recap of how I was doing.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'm taking. Oh gosh, I'm just starting from scratch. Let me ask my question. I have, by an accident, I got an overload of Sovereign Silver. Is that very different from the Pico Silver? And should I try to use that up first before I?
Oh, yeah. Use that up first, Leah. That's no problem. That was what we used to recommend. And then what I realized is Sovereign Silver or the Argentum 23, it's not a stabilized ion. I mean, I think it's close, but we realized that we just wanted to have all our products made with the same technology so that they'd really be synergistic.
Okay, so for a daily dose, what would I take just to use this stuff up? The Sovereign Silver.
The 2 teaspoons a day would be fine.
Okay. And my other question, I have issues with digestion, and last week they did an endoscopy and found that I had an ulcer on my small intestine. And he didn't seem to think that was a big deal. But now he thought, well, if there's more of those ulcers, the pill cam would show that. So he wants me to do the the pill camera, and that involves doing that prep first. And that my question is, what about I'm not supposed to drink or eat or drink anything. Well, the baby form just supposed to do clear liquids, which I guess I can take magnesium and salt in that.
Yes.
But should I up? And then the day of the procedure, I'm not supposed to drink anything until I, swallow that thing. And do I need to up? Right now I'm just taking 1 teaspoon of mag and 1/2 teaspoon of the Remite.
Well, it would be good if you were up to 2 teaspoons, but, you're going to get a flushing action. Are they going to allow you to take magnesium citrate to flush, or are they giving you a chemical to use?
Oh, they want me to take that Miralax, at the night before, and Gatorade. And I'm going to substitute grape juice diluted for the Gatorade, and then I don't know what to substitute the Miralax.
Right. Well, I can't tell you not to do what they say. I know, for colonoscopies, all of a sudden they went to this Miralax. I guess it's more expensive instead of the magnesium citrate. High doses of mag citrate will flush you out, and it's not what is it, Miralax? It's a petroleum product, for Pete's sakes. And the Gatorade, you can try to get non-sweetened cranberry juice and maybe put stevia in it, because grape juice is going to be very high in sugar.
Oh, okay.
What happens with a lot of these tests, especially the Gatorades and all, they just throw people's blood sugar all out of proportion. So it's...
That's not so good. Okay, I'll check and see if I can take magnesium citrate instead.
Right. Yeah, it's a polyethylene glycol. It's polyethylene glycol, and for some reason it sort of flooded the market just a few years ago. It's a hydrophilic molecule, so it fills the intestines with water, and then it's like your body hates polyethylene glycol so much it'll flush it out. And I don't know if it has side effects. I don't know if it hangs on in the body. I don't know a lot about it, but I just personally I would use the magnesium citrate and not polyethylene glycol if I possibly could.
Yeah, I'll have to check. Okay, I'll do that, and I've got to get my magnesium up a little bit more, but I was trying to go slow again because I was having diarrhea and issues and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know. Okay, then get the Remag lotion and put that on. Right. Yeah. Or like Ginny often says, put the Remag liquid in a spray bottle and spray your skin and just sort of rub that in, and it absorbs really quickly. Okay?
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you so much.
Okay, Leo. Thanks for calling.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, very good. 602-666-6027 is the number to call this evening. And if you've called and you'd like to get through and we haven't talked to you yet, it's because you haven't raised your hand. So you've got to hit *5 on your keypad. *5 is going to raise your hand and let me know you have a question or comment. Okay, so let's go to area code 415. 415, you're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
I missed the phone number. It was at 415-595-3528.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
Okay, my name is Steve. Thanks for the time. Just a very quick question. It was already addressed, actually. It has to do with taste and compliance. I can't get my mother to take it, and I have a hard time with the liquid minerals. I've done a lot of Chinese medicine and other things over the years. I suspect we all have different chemical bodily compositions, and we taste things differently. So for some people it's palatable, for others it may not be. For those of us that have a hard time with the taste, I've been putting it in pomegranate juice that's not from concentrate, but I don't want to diminish the effect of it. So my question is, what would be, is it acceptable to mix it with anything? Are there some juices that are better than others for bioavailability? So that's basically all I'm asking.
Yes, Steve, anything will do. On this protocol, we also focus on yeast overgrowth, so I'm very cautious about telling people to drink juice, because a straight juice with fructose can have 10 teaspoons of sugar, which is comparable to a soda. So that's why I'm not big on juice, but you can put it in anything. Sometimes I'll put 1 drop of a peppermint extract into a whole 8 ounces, and that gives enough of an aftertaste. Or, like I said earlier, just drop it in a gelatin capsule. But you have to swallow the capsules right away so that they don't melt through. You can put it in tea. Someone asked about putting it into jojoba tea or tea tree oil. Not tea tree oil, but what is it, Padarco tea. I used to wonder if it would not be good in hot beverages, but our chemist said it's fine. It's not gonna distill off. So do anything you can to get it in you. That's all.
Okay, and the Pico Silver, would I look like the Tin Man? Because I've drunk gallons of low-quality silver in the past, and I'm very reluctant about keep taking colloidal silvers. I understand that Pico is much smaller particles. Is there something I should think about maybe, because I'm very reluctant to keep taking it based on my past history?
Right. Yeah, the colloidal silver is compound, a silver salt compound, and people made a lot of mistakes with that. But our Pico Silver is a stabilized ion of silver, and it has no ability at all to precipitate into the body tissues. And you can read the incredible silver report that we have at drcarolyndeanlive.com under books, and it will reassure you. And the FDA says with this Pico Silver or nano silver technology, you would have to take, it's in there. You'd have to take it for 70. You could take it for 70 years and never reach an amount that would precipitate into the skin.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, Steve. Thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Excellent. Very good. Let's go to area code 757, the great state of Virginia. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hey, Ginny and Carolyn. This is Sherry again. How you doing?
Fine, thank you, Sherry.
I just wanted to let Steve know, the previous caller, I put about an inch or so of coconut water in the bottom of like a 10-ounce glass, and then I add the Remag and the Remite, and then the pinch of sea salt. And I think that tastes good, but and that doesn't add too much sugar either. So, yeah. And the other thing I wanted to I don't know how many people are on the call every week, but I wanted to encourage all those folks that are fairly new to the program to keep, to stay with it. I've been on it for 6 to 7 months, and I really am starting to feel so much better, and my body is really responding well. And I think that when people, when they first start out and things are, like you said, they're turned up and things are happening, I think their first reaction is to kind of back away and to stop taking the supplements. And I think it really what you need is the complete opposite, and that's to kind of trudge through and stay on it.
Very good.
And then the other thing, I was just going to add was I think that when you give, if you give this 20% of your effort, you're going to see maybe 20% of results. If you give it 100% of your effort, then you're going to see the full amount of those results.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of us have been suffering ill health, injury, whatever, for a long time, and somehow we've got the impression from medicine that you take something and you should be better overnight, and when has that ever happened for anybody? But we do have customers telling us that they will get better very quickly. So you just have to, as you say, Sherry, just take it one step at a time. And that's why we say educate yourself and know what we're talking about here, so that you don't kind of shoot yourself in the foot by second-guessing all the time. If you accept that 80% of the population is magnesium deficient, which is true, if you accept that 80% of our known metabolic functions require magnesium, which is true, if you accept that 1,000 enzymes and processes in your body need magnesium, which is true, then that should inform you that you're making the best decision possible by taking Remag, which, as we said, you can't even see it under a laser scan. It is so tiny and just wants to go right in your cells. I mean, what else is there to know?
Yeah, and I just want to encourage the callers that may be new to the program that, to just kind of believe in the system. And, this hindsight is 20/20. And looking back the 6-7 months when I first started, I was a little bit reluctant, a little hesitant, a little scared because things were starting to happen, and I wasn't quite sure if this was the right thing, if it was too much, if maybe something happened. I was like, no, I'm going to go off of it. But now that I'm 7 months into it, I can just say it's really one of the best things I've done, because I'd been taking probably 20, 30 supplements. I have a ton of supplements, and they weren't doing anything. I didn't see any noticeable changes for years and years and years, and I kept on adding more and more and more. And my husband was going crazy because every day in the mail I'd have more pills, and he would just shake the bag and go, oh, here's some more pills. It's not doing anything.
Right.
So.
Yes, very good. You make very good point, and we are preparing more FAQs for people who say, what do I do about my supplements? Well, you stay on them until you don't need them anymore. And what we say there is you came to us with all these supplements and still feeling horrible, so were they helping you anyway? And with medications, you have to stay on your medications, and then as you're feeling better with the very symptoms that the medications are supposed to help, then you'll work with your doctor to wean off them. We're very careful about, not telling people to stop anything.
Yeah, I wasn't taking any medications because I don't want to take medications, but I was taking a ton of supplements, and I'm happy to say I've weaned them down.
Okay. Well, a lot of people are taking supplements just in case. It's like people get surgery just out of fear, or you take supplements out of fear of not feeling well, and you think somehow the words that you read about the supplement is going to help you. And it really is not until people start taking our products that they say, oh, my gosh, something actually can help me, and it's actually working, and I actually feel better. It is quite amazing.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much.
Very good, Sherry. Thank you. The check's in the mail.
All right. Bye, guys.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Sherry, for calling. Okay, let's go to area code 708. 708, you're on the line with Dr. Dean, LaGrange, Illinois. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Yeah, this is Ron. Thanks for taking my call. I've been diagnosed with AFib. I've had a few episodes of it last year, maybe once every couple of months. It would last maybe a few hours to overnight maybe, but then it would go away. This year, it's been constant for about 3 months now, and I finally met with a cardiologist, and after all the tests and examinations and what have you, they're recommending I have something done as soon as possible, namely the ablation process.
Right.
Because if I wait longer, my heart could get weaker, and it could be less effective and what have you. And I'm not sure how I feel. My instincts kind of resist any process that would purposely put scar tissue on my heart. It doesn't doesn't make common sense to me. But I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. Is there? I guess I've been on the Remag for a month, and I plan on continuing to use that, regardless of what I decide to do. But
right.
I'm just wondering about the efficacy.
Ron, have you noticed any shift in your symptoms with the Remag, and how much are you on?
I built up to I think I built up to 1 teaspoon a day. I haven't really noticed. If anything, I'm getting more tired and more weak. So I feel like maybe I do need to make a decision to have something done if indeed my heart, if the condition is worsening. But
I'm
how
wondering old are you, Ron?
How old are you? 69.
Right. Yeah, that's the age when we start to feel this stuff. But 1 teaspoon a day is below the RDA for a male. So it's what happens when you start taking Remag and then don't take enough for your whole body. It's like the 1,000 enzymes in your body are fighting for where it's going to use that magnesium. So yeah, you could feel tired and weak just because you're not taking enough magnesium once you're teasing your body with a little bit of it. I mean, you really need to read my Remag book and understand the basis of the electrolyte balance and the requirement for magnesium and how much to take. And are you doing the sea salted water as well?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
And the Remite?
No, I haven't. Tried any of the other products.
Right. I mean, they've got you in a bind, Ron, about doing the ablation. I do a lot of reading about the current theory about ablation. It's like 50-50 now because they don't know if it really helps, etc. I would never stop a person from getting ablation. It could be helpful, but I like what you said. You'd keep on the Remag, but you're not taking enough to really make a difference if your AFib is related to magnesium deficiency. You're not saturating your body and your heart with enough magnesium. Reread my AFib book and really get an understanding of what's going on. If you do the ablation, that's fine. You just keep taking the minerals, and they'll even heal up the scar tissue. So you can definitely have the best of both.
Yeah, and if I understand correctly, I should continue to build up to more than a larger
Correct.
amount.
Right.
That can go up to as.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. That can go up to as high as what does it max out at 2 teaspoons a day or more?
It can be more, Ron. I mean, maybe 3 for you. I had to take 4 teaspoons, and I weigh about 105 pounds, so I had to take 4 teaspoons for a year for my heart palpitations. I didn't even have AFib, but I had those whomping, what do you call them? PVCs, premature ventricular contractions. So.
And you did that twice a day?
I did 4 teaspoons for a year.
Yeah, twice a day?
No, I think I was sipping it through the day then. So yeah, you got a ways to go, but like I said, Ron, you can have it both ways. Do not think it's one or the other. We really try to make that clear. You know, if you're on drugs, keep taking your drugs. You just keep adding these mineral building blocks. If you're stressed with all this, and I hear the stress in your voice, get our Realign, which has the methylated and food-based B vitamins that will help your nervous system and your adrenal glands. And, you know, just make this an experiment about your heart doesn't have enough minerals, so, okay, sorry, heart, let me give you enough minerals so you can do your work. And like Ginny and I say all the time, you know, it may be that you do not have a heart condition. You have a mineral deficiency condition. So, like I said, you can have it both ways. So you go ahead and make your decision and get back to us and tell us what happened, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Give Ron a yay there, Ginny, if you don't mind.
Okie dokie.
Ron's smiling now, Bob.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and what about the best of both worlds? I mean, how on earth could you mess that up? I mean, you do the minerals, you do the Remeg, you do the Remite. You've got to have the Realign for the taurine in your heart, you know.
Right.
Come on, right? But I mean, how could that be bad for you? On a cellular level, every single cell in your body is already stressed out because your heart isn't working properly. So you've got cellular stress where your body needs the additional assets anyway. And then if you do decide to do the ablation, which we've had several customers do that, Carolyn, as you know, and we support them all the way through. And they have faster recovery times. They do great. And then when they get on the other side of that, then what do? They just chug along with the minerals and everything because they certainly don't want to have another one. Huh. So, yeah, Ron, dial it up. Yeah, you can win. Double win. Double win for Ron. Okay, let's go to the great state of California, our lovely Palm Springs. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, this is Robin Gabrielle. I talked to you a couple of weeks ago, and it was so great. Thank you, Dr. D. I just came back from spending a week with my granddaughter, and everybody in their household was sick. So I have the cold flu that's been going around, but I've had it for 10 days, and I'm concerned about my lungs and wondered if you might have a recommendation because I don't really want to go to the doctor because I'm afraid they're going to put me on antibiotics. And I've had pneumonia in the past. I've had some asthmatic symptoms from environmental stuff, and I have some arsenic in my lungs from growing up over a smelter on a cliff above a smelter for 20 years. And so I have some sensitivity in my lungs, and then so I'm concerned about...
a couple questions. How old are you, Robin?
69.
And do you have a fever?
I did have a fever. Just like the third day in, I had a fever. I don't tend to run fever, so it was very low, like 99.8 or something.
So you don't have a fever now. Do you?
No, it broke.
Yeah, it broke. So with your
it broke,
lungs,
and I felt. Go ahead. I felt so much better after that, but now the ensuing days, my lungs feel sort of heavy, and I just don't have any energy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't tell you, how to treat this, and it would appear that a chest X-ray would be helpful just to define what's going on. You don't have to take a medication unless you want to.
Is there any of your protocols that you think would help?
I'll get to that. Okay. The unfortunate thing about going to doctors is that, if they see a person is reluctant to take a drug, they will start scaring you. They'll dial up the pressure. So if you're given a prescription, you say, "Oh, thank you," and you walk away, and then you decide. And I don't know what products you're on, but personally, I would be doing Pico Silver. As Ginny would say, I would be pounding the Pico Silver. Because
pounding, okay. I just took my last teaspoon, so I need to get more of that.
Oh, yeah. And the whole protocol will be helpful because the Remag helps the muscles of the bronchial tubes to not go into spasm if they're working extra hard. But it does sound like you probably have a fluid buildup in your lungs. So, but if you don't have a fever, it doesn't sound like it's infected. So, look up online chest clapping, where you can. Oh
yes, okay.
Yeah, where you can clap, cup your hands and clap your chest as much as you can to move things around. And then there are herbs that you can take. What are the ones? Lobelia, it smells like stinky socks, but they're... there are... chest lung herbs that you can take, and you just make a ritual of making a tea of them and drink lots and lots of chest herb. Chest herbs. Let me see if I can find them. Herbs for chest. I mean, marshmallow comes to mind. And ginger, of course. Yeah, marshmallow root. Ginger, you can steam with those too, but just get a really wonderful protocol going where, your lungs are trying to tell you something, and like you say, the fever broke and you felt good, but then maybe there's still a conflict about your lungs that you have to look at so that
I do. Well, I can tell you. It's grief. There's some grief. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so there you go. And what we'll do
know that,
yeah, we'll send you. Yeah, I'm getting that prickly skin thing all over me. So yeah, I know.
Yeah. When the truth comes out, this prickly skin, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Ginny
will send you our affirmation, the opera or operetta song to listen to is called Time to Say Goodbye. And
very, very appropriate, yes.
Yeah, and Walnut is for releasing grief. So if you'll email Ginny at support@rnavereset.com, she'll send you our little FAQ on that to support you, because
thank you.
That's all that's happening right now is you've confirmed it. There's something stuck in your lungs, and you'll do a ritual to just release, as you say, the grief.
Yes, thank you so much. Can I just one quick more?
Sure.
So because of my age, they always, I'm always recommended that, and because I've had pneumonia, so I've had the 2 vaccines.
No inoculations.
Okay, already done that. So and I do terrible on the inoculations. They make me sick.
Right.
But I've done that. So don't do that anymore.
Well, don't do it again. Don't do it again.
Okay, I promise. Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, I'm glad you're laughing, Robin. That's you turned around now. You have turned the corner. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Very good. Dr. Carolyn Dean live here. We've got a few more callers that we want to get to. And yes, Vail, Colorado, you're next, so just hang in there. But I do have to say and just interject that once again, I don't know what show number we are on exactly, Carolyn, but let's just say 9 years or so at 52 shows a year minus a couple when we're not around. This is the first time that you've ever mentioned chest clapping, and I keep a list of all the new things that Carolyn says that I've never heard before, and now chest clapping is going on my list, and I'm sitting here clapping my chest just in case there's anything that needs to be moved around. I'm clap, 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 clap. I'm like, oh my God, she whips it out again, something I've never heard before. Awesome, awesome. The treasury of her wisdom is unfolding. So, yes, our dear friend Robin is in very good care now. She is on her way to full recovery. We're very excited for you, Robin. Okay, let's go to, the great state of Colorado. Vail, you're on the line, area code 970, on the line with Dr. Dean. Go ahead and give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Professor Bob, Dr. C, Jenny. Gail is hurting. Can you help her?
Hi, Gail. What's up?
Well, I've been on your supplements now for a long time. I take them faithfully, and yes, I know they help me, and I generally feel good or great at many times. But anyway, I have developed a foot neuroma, and it's extremely frustrating because I try to get out and walk and get my exercise, and then after I walk for 10 minutes, I start getting this intense burning in my foot.
Yeah.
And I've tried putting the Remake, just spraying it on. I use the lotion, that does help, but it's temporary. And I'm wondering, is there any? Do you have any other suggestions?
Let's look up the total biology on it, Gail. How long have you had it?
Gosh, I've had this neuroma. I want to say I've had it for at least 2 years. It wasn't really bad at first. Recently, I sprained my ankle really bad, which I'm sure exasperated it. It's still healing, but I'm just, I'm frustrated because, like I said. By the way, I just got back from Maui. I spent a week over there walking in the wonderful sunshine and spending time on the beach, but I was dealing with this stupid neuroma.
Right. Okay, so 2 years, and then it built up, and the sprain made it worse.
Yes.
Okay, which foot, right or left?
My left foot. Now, I did try some I had the foot doctor, he tried a couple injections, which was a temporary thing once again. And then he kind of scared me. He says, well, we can try, if this doesn't work, we can try giving you something to kill the nerve. And I thought, maybe not.
Okay, so are you right or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay, so if we look at the total biology, I don't have anything on neuroma. I'm surprised in my notes, but with feet, because if you're on the products and you've been doing everything, and it was starting to get a bit better, so then you had a ankle sprain, which put the attention back on it, then this symptom is indicative of a conflict that your brain is trying to tell you about. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay,
yes, it does.
So foot. What does a foot imply? I'm just looking through my total biology notes, and if we can't come up with anything, maybe a short discussion with our total biology consultant, Dr. David Holt, would be helpful. Or just my saying, well, what does foot mean? Moving forward. I know I had a sore foot when I was off to the NIH conference on magnesium. Here I was going to be thrust into the mix of a bunch of magnesium researchers, and we're doing a study, and what am I getting myself into? And I had a foot pain. So everything that happens to me, I look at it through the lens of total biology. Are you trying to put your foot down about something? I'm putting my foot down with a firm hand. The foot can also be related to the mother. I don't know why, but that's what they say. And right, I don't know if your mother, what state of health or whatever your mother's in.
She's been gone for over 10 years. She's in another dimension.
Okay. Meaning of the foot equals to mother. That's all it says in my notes. So what comes to you? Does anything ring a bell with my rambling on here?
Well, I've had some issues that we haven't even talked about. I experienced drop foot in my right foot. I actually had a herniated disc, and they went in and they removed the particles that were causing the herniation. It took me a year to recover from that. And I was just to the point where I was out walking and doing quite well, and then all of a sudden, the other foot, which had obviously been taking more of the stress because I wasn't able to right foot. It got worse, but then through therapy and stuff, I was doing better. But now, after walking, trying to keep up with my wonderful sister who walks 10 miles a day. Anyway, she's a walker. But
well, I mean, look at it. Both feet now. You're talking about, Gail. So there's something about feet moving forward. Where do your feet take you? You could Google around and see what Louise Hay says about the feet. You could think about having a consult with Dr. David Holt to see if he could give you some input. I found the sprained ankle, conflict of direction and not knowing where to go, feeling devalued in what I'm doing, not performing well enough. Now, if someone, you said it right there, you can't keep up with your sister. I mean, this is where you're putting yourself down for no good reason. Get on a bicycle and you bike and she can walk. But anyway, just think about what we're saying here in terms of your foot, and continue to do your products and put the Remag lotion on it. But you know what I'd also say, if you haven't already, is start doing some Pico Silver, just in case there would be an inflammation, but just in case there's a subclinical infection in that area that's holding you back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was taking it every other day, but when I went to Hawaii, I did not take that with me. I did take my Remag and my other supplements.
Okay.
So
think about if that makes sense, and keep doing the Remag lotion on it, because if it's going to be some calcification as well. So we've had many customers who've told us that bone spurs and neuromas, they do eventually go, but if there's a conflict related to your feet, then you want to identify that. I mean, I do it all the time. What did I do? Oh, my chiropractor kind of tore something between my ribs, and here I had this rib pain, and I thought, what's this all about? And then I remembered 2 years prior, while on vacation, I fell against the side of a bathtub and sprained my ribs and bruised them. And there was a reason why I did it. I knew the conflict there, and as soon as I said, oh, he was just getting rid of the scar tissue from that old injury, and as soon as I realized it, it was gone.
Go there.
Scar tissue, that's how does the magnesium affect scar tissue? That's a very good question.
Gail, we've just got one more minute to the top of the hour. I'm sorry. Just 1 minute left, Carolyn. Yeah.
Well, scar tissue can harbor crystals of calcium, so you just keep doing the Remag. And for intestinal scar tissue, you can use castor oil packs. So thank you, Gail. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, listeners.
Love you.
Appreciate it. Love you. Mean it. The end.
The end. Okay, and sorry to those who didn't make it on the phone, and also we've got a few questions hanging on the chat line. Go ahead and just email support, SUPPORT, at rnareset.com, and customer service will catch you up. But the answer is yes, yes, and yes. So go ahead and email us in, and we'll help you with the rest of it. Thanks, Carolyn.
Thank you, Jenny.
You've been listening to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Till next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
AchieveRadio.com.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.